2017 RPG a Day.
It's day 2 of RPG a Day, and we're getting into the second question. Yesterday we asked about what is a published RPG that you wish you were playing now, something that everybody can get their hands on. And today we're looking at what is an RPG that you would like to see published. This is the opportunity to talk about pretty much anything that you like in an RPG cast that isn't out there and accessible. You could talk about your homebrew, or you could talk about a cool IP that you enjoy. Doesn't really matter. It's open. What is an RPG that you would like to see published? Well, for me, I don't have a specific IP. I thought I would, but the more I thought about the question, the more I realized that a game I would like to see published would combine this newish kind of mechanic I've grown interested in with kind of a classic setting that I find in my preferred style of play can be a little slow. I guess really it's the slowness of it that gets to me. So this newish mechanic combined with that setting would kind of give me the high speed play that I like with the first person dialogue that I like. So allow me to explain. When I started getting into Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars, that showed me this very cool dice mechanic. And liking that dice mechanic led me to Warhammer Fantasy 3rd Edition, which is a game, a role-playing game that I had zero experience with prior to that. I had some exposure to the war game thanks to friends who played BattleTech and so on, and I knew what Warhammer was, but had never played the role-playing game, nor knew anybody who played it. Well, all that's changed. And while the 3rd edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is gone, and the license is now with another company for development in entirely new ways, the mechanics that Warhammer had for its 3rd edition, there's a lot of stuff in there that I really liked. Not just the dice, but there was a lot of material in there, a lot of tools provided, which obviate the need for a lot of game speak. And what I mean by that is there's stuff out on the table around your character sheet and on your character sheet that the other players and the game master can look at and just know things about your character that they would know if they were there. And what that means is that there's a lot less out of character conversation about game terms and game conditions. People can just look at your character sheet and be able to then interact with you in character about those conditions or about those things. I like that a lot. I like the idea of that a lot. It speeds up gameplay, and it allows us to experience more of that in-character immersion quality that some people find interesting. So for me, I like to play in the first person. I like to adopt the role of the character. I don't really like to get into acting. I'm not really talking about LARP or moving around the room or costumes or accents or any of that, but I like to be able to focus on the difference between the inner life that the character would be experiencing and what they share with their allies and their opponents and whatnot in a scene. I like there to be the freedom in the game session to explore those two things. And that can be challenging, especially when you're playing a new character. You don't really have a grip on exactly how you're going to frame their inner life, and you have no idea from minute to minute exactly what you're going to say. It'll take you time to get into the role. When you add in new game system and all the game speak that comes along with that, this aspect of roleplay, this very particular type of roleplay, can just vanish. And it will be a very long period of time before you can get it back again. And if you've got the kind of group that experiments with a lot of different games, you may never get it back again. By the time you're getting a grip on your character, you're in an entirely new game system and learning everything all over again. So what appeals to me about this is that I could imagine a brand new role-playing game based on characters with psychic powers, right? This is a particular kind of power in a role-playing game that requires a lot of discussion with the game master, right? So you've got someone sitting next to you, and let's say you have the ability to sense and modify emotions. Well, that conversation isn't between the two characters. That conversation is between one character and the game master. Can I detect his emotional state? Okay, roll. You roll. Okay, you got 3 successes. You know this about his emotional state. And that's only if the game master knows. If he doesn't know, then he has to go talk to him. And then, right. That could be made completely silent and require no game conversation. There could be material, there could be tools present on each character sheet that allow the player to mark their emotional condition and their wound condition and their sanity and a whole bunch of different things, so that we never actually have to talk about them in game terms. We can only talk about them instead in real world terms, conversational terms, and I think that would be pretty cool. So I'd like to see development in that direction in the hobby. And while I can't quite think of an IP that goes along with it, there are a few books by L.E. Modesett Jr. that I have mentioned in previous RPG-A-Days, which would benefit from a system just like that. His books are filled with characters who have sharp insights into certain other characters because of their training or because of their background or because of some kind of psychic power or magical power or whatnot. And being able to model that with a physical tool on the table rather than having this big divide between in-character gaming and out-of-character gaming would be fantastic for me. Anyway, that's my very vague, probably unsatisfying for the listener, answer to question 2. Tomorrow, day 3, we'll look at where do you get your information about role-playing games. Talk to you then.
Ready to get involved? Get the infographic at castingshadowsblog.com. RPG A Day is sponsored this year by the RPG Brigade and was created by Autocratic.